and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are introducing our brand new set, Mermaid for You, and its coordinating dies. I am so in love with this set, so let's go ahead and stamp it out. First we have this mermaid that looks like she's floating down in the water. I just love her. We have this little girl here. Then we have a sitting mermaid, perfect for the narwhal and rock in this set. We had to have a merman, of course. And then here is that narwhal and the rock. We also have some coral and seaweed that are great for setting the scene for these mer people. And then here is that nice tall seaweed. Then we have a school of fish and a seahorse, which might be one of my favorite things from this set. We have an individual fish in both open and solid. We also have some great seashells, perfect for setting the scene too, and a little starfish, and these are great in the mermaid's hair too. We have a group of bubbles, an individual bubble, and then two heart-shaped bubbles, and they're just so sweet. I just love the little cute heart shape. Now we have a trident and a crown, and then we also have a little tiara too made out of pearls. We have "We mermaid for each other," "See you soon," and "Waving hello" as our sentiments in this set, and of course we have an exclamation point to add to the end of these phrases. Next, I'm going to be using my Copic markers to add some color to these fun images. And as you can see here, I'm making a little brunette mermaid, and I'm having the hair be darkest at the bottom and lightest at the top. I thought it gave the hair a lot of movement, really making it look like it's just floating away in the ocean. So I'm just blending those colors together there, and next I'm going to work on her skin. I like to add a little shadow underneath her hair, her neck, and on the sides of her belly. And then I'm going to blend that down with my lighter marker. So I'm adding my darker and then blending with the light. Next, I'll work on her little bathing suit top and then her fin. I love using olives and then layering an aqua on top to get a mermaid fin color. And I'll show you that again with the other mermaids. Next, I wanted to make some super bright blonde hair, and I thought these two colors worked so well. And now I'm going to shade her skin in the exact same way as the other mermaid, but with just two different markers. Now here I am doing the tail again, once again layering those olives, blending that out, and then I'm going to take that BG13, that aqua, and lay it right on top, and it really gives it such a nice mermaid tail kind of look. Now I had to color one like Ariel, so I got out these kind of orangey red and ruby colors for the shading, and I really like how it turned out. I love how it's kind of dark around her face. And then once again, I'm going to blend her skin just like the other mermaids, and then do her tail the same way too. I really wanted all their mermaid tails to match. So now I'm just going to blend that out and then add that aqua on top. Next, it's time for the merman, and I wanted to give him some black hair, and I'm going to blend it out to kind of almost like a light gray on top because I wanted it to look like the sun and the light was hitting the top of his head. And now I'm going to go ahead and blend his skin tone out. So I'm going to add some shading under the neck and on the sides of his body to kind of give him some nice dimension there on his chest there. And then now for his tail, I'm going to use the same exact idea with the olives, except I'm going to add a little bit of a darker color for the merman. So there you can see I've added that darker one, and I'm going to blend it out and then layer that aqua right on top. Next, it's time for the seahorse, and I love that it's fun to color the seahorse in just a rainbow of colors. And then now the narwhal. I really love these toner gray markers for the narwhal, and I'm going to make him dark on top and kind of lighter towards the bottom, but I also want to add some shading around his fin too. So I'm going to add some dark markers there, and it kind of makes the fin pop and look a little three-dimensional. And I'm going to keep blending it out so it's a nice little gradient all the way down the narwhal. Now the rocks I love coloring because you can be as messy as possible, because the messier you are, the more it looks like kind of a rock texture. So I just love how cool it ends up looking. Now for the school of fish, I thought it would be fun to have a rainbow. So I'm going from red to orange to yellow and all the way through the rainbow and just kind of blending it out. And I think it's such a cool look. I think it'd be really fun to stamp a bunch of the fish and do a giant rainbow school of fish. I would love to see someone do that. And then now for this fish, I made them more goldfish. So I just have dark orange to light orange down the fish, and that's a really cool look too. And now here's a look at all the colored images. I just love how they come to life with the Copic markers. Now here are the coordinating dies, which you can bend apart or separate with your wire snips. And then all you have to do is take some low-tack tape. I love this Post-it note tape. I line the dies up and then use the tape to hold all of the dies in position. And now I'll run it through my die cut machine, and this is my favorite part, is taking it out of the die. I just love it every time. And she's so cute with that cute little white border all around her. And here is a look at all of the images from the set. I love that there is so much in this set. You can really create some cool stuff with it. I love how she can sit on the narwhal or on the rock and how that coral and those fish make for great scenes. I love that little tiara, and she can work on any of the girls' hair, and the shells look really cute in their hair too. And then I love that crown for both the mermaid and the merman. They can both hold the trident, which is really neat. And there you can see all of these things all set up. I just think this set's so sweet, and the starfish in the hair is adorable. Now here I wanted to show you how I took the same idea of that hair, but I just took one more marker, E34, and just layered it on top to create a little bit more lightness towards the end of her hair and to give her a kind of a different look. And I love mixing and matching skin tones and hair colors. It's just so much fun to play around with. And here you can see all of the different mermaids I colored this time. Now coming up, you're going to see I kind of laid out what I thought I wanted my card to look like. So I've got the dies out and everything that I think it's going to be. And so I'm going to start off with the largest of the large stitch rectangles, which is 5.5 by 4.25. I'm going to cut 1/2 piece and 2 full pieces to create my cool ocean scene. Now I'm going to be using the stitched hillside borders, but using them for an ocean, which is kind of fun. So they're going to kind of look like little ocean waves or waves in the sand under sea. So I've got my first piece there, and now I'm going to take my second piece, and I'm going to have 3 pieces of varying heights that you see are going to layer perfectly on top of each other. I'm going to be working with faded jeans, mermaid lagoon, peacock feathers, and tumbled glass to create a cool ombre look. I'm going to start dark on the bottom and light towards the top. So right now I'm just blending on that faded jeans, and I'm going to keep it darker towards the bottom and lighter towards the top of this piece. Now I'm on my second piece, starting with faded jeans and then moving on to mermaid lagoon. Now I'm going to go from mermaid lagoon back to faded jeans to kind of blend them together. So now let's take a look at this in slow motion. So right here you can see I'm bringing on the mermaid lagoon. I'm kind of coming up from the top and in from the sides, starting off of the cardstock and then moving on with the mermaid lagoon. Now to get it to blend together, I'm going to need to switch to faded jeans again to kind of keep it from looking like a line between the two colors. So I'm going to take my faded jeans and go over and blend that edge, and that's what's going to give it the cool ombre look. Now this took me a little while to do, but I think it is totally worth it. 1, because it's super fun to do, and 2, because it looks so cool in the end. One thing I was really worried about when I was doing it is I thought it wasn't looking very blended. I thought it was looking splotchy. Well, when I gave it some time for the ink to kind of dry into the paper, it ended up looking really good at the end. So I have to remind myself next time to not panic when it's splotchy, because it's going to look cool at the end. Now we're going to go back to super speed, and now I'm adding on peacock feathers, then back to mermaid lagoon, then back to peacock feathers right here, and then some tumbled glass up top, and then I'll go back to the peacock feathers again to blend that edge, and that's going to give me that ombre look. And now you'll see all of the pieces layered together, how cool it looks, and I think it just looks like a perfect scene for these mermaids. Now I know I'm going to be making a ton of mermaid cards this summer, so I decided to stamp out a bunch of coral all at once and die cut it all at once so that they're ready to go for lots of cards in the future. So I used a bunch of nice blues and purples for the coral and die cut all of these pieces so I can create lots of fun cards. Now it's time to start deciding on the layout, and I love having all these pieces to play with because I can kind of move things around, switch things around until I really like how it's looking. And I like it right now, so I'm going to take a picture because if not I'm going to forget, and then now it's time to stamp the sentiment. Now the reason I have that white frame there is eventually this card's going to have a frame around it, and that's just a little placeholder so that I know where to stamp the sentiment so it doesn't get covered up by the frame. I'm going to stamp that in some black licorice ink, and now I'm going to work on putting all of these pieces together. Now this is going to be a shaker card in the end, so I'm going to have all of the pieces completely flat. So I'm using either tape runner or some glue to put everything down nice and flat so that the sequins are going to be able to move over it when it becomes a shaker card. So I'm tucking in some of the pieces between all of these different waves, and I think that gives it some nice dimension. And then I'm going to color in some bubbles in the same kind of ombre look as the ocean background. I think it looks really neat how it kind of lines up with the look of the background behind it. Now here I'm using this frame to help me place these last coral because I want them kind of peeking up from the frame. So I'm going to put the frame there just as a guide and then sneak that piece of coral in, and that's going to be the last thing for this cool, fun mermaid background. Now that everything's ready to go, I'm going to work on the shaker frame. So I'm going to be taking the largest scallop rectangle and cutting it out of some Blue Jay cardstock, and also the largest stitched rectangle frame out of some Blue Jay cardstock too. Now here I'm going to take the largest small stitch rectangle, which fits in the interior of that frame, and I'm going to cut a window from the scallop circle. So now I can pop that out, and then I can lay this frame on top, and the in part is going to line up with the opening of the window. And I think it gives it a nice little finished edge. Now to create the window part of this frame, I'm going to cut some acetate with the same size stitch rectangle, the largest one. I'm going to put some score tape, which is nice strong tape, all around the edge of my window frame there. And then I can add the acetate right down, and I've got the beginning of my shaker. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I love my shaker to shake. I want the stuff to really move around in there. So I'm going to create triple thick foam. So I'm using this foam roll tape. As you see there, I've doubled it up. Now I'm going to peel off that backing, and I'm actually going to go ahead, unroll more of it, and create triple thick foam so that I have a lot of movement in my shaker card. So I'm just going to line those pieces up right there. And then I can go ahead and cut it in half because I don't need foam that thick, and that way I can get the most out of my foam. Now I'm going to create a rectangle around this window opening as a well for the shaker pieces to bounce around in. So now you can see I've got my frame and then the well for all the shaker pieces. And that's going to fit right on top of my mermaid scene. So I don't know about you guys, but when I make shakers, the sequins tend to stick to the card instead of moving around. So I've started using this powder tool to remove any extra possible stickiness I might have on my card. The powder sticks to any extra glue and removes any tack that glue might have. So I'm just going around all of my images because I'm kind of a messy crafter who gets glue everywhere, and I'm making sure that I get everything, all of that stick off as much as possible. Then I'm just going to take a little towel and wipe off any extra powder so that way my scene is nice and vibrant again instead of all powdery. Then I'm going to use the same idea to remove any extra stickiness from the side of those foam pieces, and I'm checking there to see if I feel anything else sticky, and then I'm going to take my powder tool and make sure I unstick all of that. Now I'm going to add some cute little ocean colored sequins and glitter to my card. I'm kind of putting them towards the bottom there to see how they're going to fill up the base, and move them all to the center, and now I can put my whole frame right on top. And now it's time to shake it, the best part. So you're going to see how cool it is when those sequins move around. It really looks like the ocean is kind of going all over those mermaids. Now I'm going to create a standard size card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm just going to score that there and then adhere that to my back of my card, and now the entire shaker is a card. And I just love this look so much. I made a similar card with the fairy set, and I just had to have a mermaid one to match. And I just love how it looks. The shaker is so much fun, and I think this card would make anybody's day. Now that we've made a super complicated card, it's time to make some simple cards with this set, because I like to do both complicated and simple, because sometimes you just need to make a ton of cards. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp some coral out in the new guava ink, which is gorgeous. And then I'm going to use a stitch rectangle to cut some peacock cardstock and some craft, and then a simple stitch hillside to create a nice little sandy hill for my ocean scene. I'm going to stamp the waving hello sentiment. And now I can start putting my card together. I love tucking the coral behind the hill. I'm going to add this cute little mermaid to the rock, and then add her on with some foam tape, the seahorse with some foam tape too, and the little tape runner for some bubbles. I'm going to use some guava cardstock for the base so it kind of coordinates with those cool guava coral. And now I can create a card base for this cute mini card. I'll lay that right on top. Add some glitter, and this card is done. I love that I could make a ton of these at once, and it'd be fun to send these just to make someone's day. Now next up, it is time to use the We Were Made for Each Other sentiment, which is my favorite one. I'm going to stamp it out in some black licorice ink and cut it out with a sentiment banner. And you'll see how great that looks there. Now I'm going to use the largest stitched heart and cut both mermaid and peacock cardstock. And then I'm going to use the ocean wave border, which is perfect for this set, to cut the bottom part of that peacock there so I can create a heart-shaped ocean scene. Now here I'm using one of the new cross-stitch square stackables, and I've cut some guava cardstock, and then I'll create a 4 1/2 by 4 1/2 inch card base, lay that guava piece on top, and start assembling my card. So I'm going to add my little ocean wave piece, Use some foam tape to add that heart to the cross-stitch square, add some foam tape for my little mermaid and merman there, and add my sentiment. And now this card is perfect. I actually colored the merman and mermaid to look like my husband and I so I can give it to him for our 9th anniversary, which is in just a week, which I'm really excited about. So here is a look at all 3 cards. I love that you can go from simple to super complicated. There's so many things that you can do with this set. So this is Mermaid for you and its coordinating dies. This is one of my favorite sets ever. It is so much fun to create cute scenes. You can go from simple to really nice and intricate and complicated, and I cannot wait to see what you guys create with this set because I know it's going to be completely awesome. So thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!